Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Brittany and this is Penelope Joe, the Basset Hound baby, and this is Raven, the ZZ plant. And we were thinking tonight that we have not given this plant much attention recently, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a really good watering and do a little propagating so that we can share this beautiful plant with some friends and talk a little bit about ZZ plant care in the meantime. So if you have a ZZ or a Raven ZZ, or it is something that you are interested in, stick around and let's talk ZZ plant care. Okay, first things first, I figured I'd start out with the fun stuff. This is Penny, the new little Basset Hound puppy. She is just 11 weeks and we got her this week for my birthday, and she has been just an angel baby. So if you have a Basset Hound and have any care tips, this is our first one. So we are working on potty training and obedience training and just getting all the snuggles in that we can while she's so little like this. So comment down below if you have any tips on Basset Hound care, and say hi to Penny in the comments. So here is a good look at this Raven ZZ plant, and kind of a close-up. We have 3 new stalks growing. 2 are a little bit older. They've been around for a couple weeks now, and then a brand new baby stalk that I swear just popped out today. And when these things do start growing, they kind of grow in packs and come out of nowhere. So I'm really excited about these new green stalks.
So here you can see those new stalks. They are nice and green, and then this new one that just popped out today.
So, let's talk a little bit about Raven ZZ. The Raven ZZ is the dark version of the ZZ plant, and there are multiple versions that you can find in the store. There's just the common green one, which I did have at one point. There's the Raven one, which is the black one, or dark purple maybe it looks. There are variegated ZZs, there are little miniature ZZs. So if you are looking for a plant like this, there are a lot of variety and options that you can choose from, which makes them even more so the perfect plant. But let's talk a little bit about care of this plant and why it is so popular in the plant community. And the first thing that I want to talk about is lighting. So this plant is well known as a low light to no light plant. And as we've talked about before, low light plants do survive well in places like bedrooms, bathrooms, away from the window, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to thrive. So any light source that you can give this plant between low light, which would be 6 to 10 feet away from a window, to bright light, which would be directly in front of a south-facing window, is going to be beneficial for it. It's just a matter of how quickly do you want its stalks and leaves to grow. So in lower light situations, you're gonna have less growth. In higher light situations, if they're cared for properly, you will have faster growth of the stalks and the leaves. So with that being said, a couple things to stay away from with light. Bright direct light, meaning it's outside and the sun is actually touching its leaves, can lead to burning of the leaves, which will cause discoloration. So if you slowly acclimate it to this, it can definitely survive like this. I mean, it does in the wild, but if I were to take this plant, put it outside in bright direct light all day, I would probably have some discoloration and some unhappiness in my leaves. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about with light is, in terms of the ZZ plant, the more light that you give it, the darker the leaves are going to look, and the quicker that new growth is going to turn dark. So just kind of keep that in mind with the Raven ZZ plant. The second thing that I wanted to discuss, and kind of the main reason that we're here today, is propagation. And so I did want to go ahead and propagate this guy because it is so healthy to be able to share with some friends and family here in the coming months. So there's kind of some miscommunication about the Raven ZZ. This was a plant that came from Costa Farms, and it does say on there that you cannot propagate this plant, but that doesn't really apply to us normal people. This applies to big nurseries that are gonna sell the plant, or if you are making for profit off this plant, in my understanding. So if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. But just at home, if you are propagating to replant or maybe to give to a friend as a gift, it's not like they're gonna come track you down and take you to jail. So there's a couple different ways that you can propagate this plant. It is an extremely slow growing plant, and so propagating can help you produce more plants if you're wanting to do that. Just know that if we start this today, we really are not going to see much difference for months. So in the fall, maybe we might see some new stalks or some new growth, but a lot of times it will take months, even up to years, to get new stalks from the type of propagation that we are gonna do today. So let's talk about the 3 methods of propagation that you can do to produce more ZZ plants. The first method is actual separation of the rhizomes of the plant. So the rhizomes are the parts that are underneath the soil. They look like potatoes, and they grow and the stalks grow out of them. So you can take this guy out of its pot and separate the rhizomes and put them into different pots. And I'll give you a little close-up of what that actually looks like here.
So if you look down in the soil, you will see the potato-looking thing, and that is the rhizome.
And then the second method is taking a healthy stalk and cutting it at the base and just plopping it into water. When you do that, the stalk itself is going to start to produce more rhizomes off the bottom, those potatoes. And then once it does, you can put it into soil and the roots will grow from the rhizomes. Rhizomes produce more than one stalk. So at that point, you will start to get other stalks off of the rhizome that you then had grown and planted into the soil. And then the third method is just leaf propagation, which is actually pretty rare. We don't see leaves that will grow outside of just a zombie leaf that maybe will grow a root and survive for a little bit. But if you plant a leaf into soil, it potentially will grow rhizomes off of that leaf, single leaf, which then will produce new stalks. So we today are going to go ahead and do the stalk propagation as well as the leaf propagation. And we're going to kind of keep tabs on it on this channel. And in many months, we're going to kind of see the pace at which it grows and hopefully get some pretty impressive new rhizomes and leaves and stalks growing off of our propagations so that we can give them to friends. Okay, so I dropped you down just a little bit so that you can kind of see what we're doing here with this plant. I did find a stalk that I want to use for propagation. It is a healthy looking stalk. There is no issue with the leaves or the stalk itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a clean pair of shears and we're gonna go ahead and just snip this stalk right at the base. So that is what that looks like. And I'm going to be using the stalk itself, but I also want to use these leaves to try leaf propagating. So the best method with this is to get a nice clean cut of the leaves and try and keep a little bit of the stalk on there because it will encourage rhizome growth. Let's back so you can see him. So I'm going to trim just the bottom couple with a little bit of that stalk stuck to it. And this one. And while we do that, let's talk a little bit about watering of this plant. So a huge benefit of the ZZ is that it is so low maintenance to the point where most people, including myself, kill this plant from over caring for it. So I only water this plant once a month, and I make sure that it is completely dry before I water it, and then I probably still wait a week. So it had been over a month since the last time I had watered this. I stuck a wooden barbecuing skewer all the way to the bottom, which we have showed in previous videos, spun it around, pulled it out, and made sure that no soil was stuck to the skewer so that I knew that it was completely dry. And if it is not completely dry, it will start to rot. So those rhizomes that we talked about store water. I kind of think of them as like a camel's hump. They store water, and if they are being overwatered, they will start to rot. Literally, like you can put your finger through them. It's like a rotten potato. So most people kill their ZZ plant from over caring for it. Once it is completely dry, it is good to water. Then you want to soak the entire soil, let it drain through the bottom or out the bottom, and then put it back and let it be for at least another however many weeks until it's dried out again. So that is one of the benefits of having this plant. Sit it, forget it, leave it alone, stop rotting its roots. So I went ahead and just put this stalk, I cut the bottom 2 leaves off with the stalk attached, and I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry out, callus over so that it will not rot in the water, as we're just talking about rotting. And then I'm gonna put it in this cute little vase. There's no water in here yet, but tomorrow with a little bit of water on the windowsill, and I will show you what that looks like tomorrow. But in the meantime, it's just gonna hang out overnight and callus over. And then I do have the leaves that I cut off, and you can see there, that bottom part is where that stalk was. And I dropped the other one on the ground. Here it is. So I have 2 leaves, and I'm gonna go ahead and let these guys callus over as well. And then they are gonna get planted into soil into this little cup where we can then watch what is happening in the meantime. So tomorrow I'll be back. I'll show you what that looks like. And these guys are going to be our new babies that we can share with our friends. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we're done here, make this brief, is repotting of this plant. So ZZ plants like to be root bound. They like to feel tight in their pot. And so you only need to repot it when the roots are starting to take over the soil. In that case, it would not be getting water efficiently. So then you would want to go up 1 to 2 inches in pot size. And that honestly does not usually take place every year, even every other year. This might be every 2 to 3 year repot for you. So as you can see, I'm getting those 3 new stalks in here, and I am not even gonna think about repotting this summer. Look at this poor guy. Let's just cut this little leaf off. Looks like there was a little damage here. So in terms of day-to-day care with this plant, I do wipe it with a leaf shine to make sure that the leaves stay nice and clean and are not dusty, so that the sun, when it does hit it, can get to those leaves and photosynthesize properly. I also will go ahead and do a little bit of grooming like I just did and cut off the leaves that are looking damaged. I also do want to note, just because we did just get a dog, this plant is toxic to pets and to humans. So if you have a pet, make sure to keep it up higher so that they cannot eat the plant. And if they do happen to, obviously call your vet and see what you need to do about that. So otherwise, this plant is really nice. I have my notes here. It likes average temperature. That's why it makes a perfect house plant. It likes average humidity because of its drought tolerance. It doesn't need high humidity. So maybe keep it away from the plants that you're giving extra humidity to. Just whatever humidity your house is sitting at should be totally fine. And now drink every time I say the word humidity. But outside of that, this is such an easygoing plant. You can find them at almost every big box store. So if you are in the market for a ZZ, I highly recommend getting one. It is one of my favorite plants and always so beautiful. And stay tuned, because tomorrow we will go ahead and get these propagations all ready. I'll set them up, show you where they're gonna live their life, and then we will do check-ins as these guys start to grow. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or any other tips for us about ZZ plants that you have learned over the years, leave us a comment below, say hi to Penny, and I will see you guys next time.